Welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we're going to be doing my, what month is it? April mid-month wrap-up. I have read 12 books so far in April and I have one DNF, and I'm just going to go through, chat about the books that I've read, give you my thoughts on them, my rating, and that's gonna be that. So I'm gonna get right into it. The first book that I read in the month of April was Zeus by Finley. This one is book 4 in her Mike Bravo Ops series, and I loved the first book in this series, and I really liked maybe the second one. I think it was the second one, but the last one, which I guess was book 3, I didn't really enjoy at all, and this one I ended up giving 3 stars. I just feel like this series has kind of gone downhill. I don't get as much connection between the characters anymore. I don't feel like the characters are fully like fleshed out and developed enough, and in this one, the hero, it's an MM romance and they're military like contractors, and this one has Zeus, who works for the Mike Bravo team, the military contractors team, and then the other hero's name is Katey, and he was introduced in the previous book and he's been through some shit. He's very damaged, and the ending of this book just didn't feel like the ending. It like didn't feel like we actually got like a developed relationship. It didn't feel like a full romance, and I was just like a little disappointed about that. It ended and I was like, that's it? Where's the rest? Like, where's the rest of their relationship? And I didn't like Katey. I wasn't a fan of his character in the previous book. I wasn't a fan of his character in this one, and I like know he's been through some shit and you're supposed to like feel bad for him, but I don't feel bad for him, and it's because he's just like not a fully fleshed out, fully developed character, and I ended up just giving it 3 stars. It was whatever. The second book that I read in April was Only and Forever by Chloe Leese. This is the last book in the Bergman Brothers series. This is Viggo's book, and I love the Bergman Brothers series. I've talked about the series on my channel so many times. I have a bunch of chronic illnesses, and reading the Bergman Brothers series was the first time I ever felt really like seen in a romance book, and I don't even have the chronic illnesses that like they deal with in the book, but just the way that the representation is done, I was able to relate to so many things and understand what the characters were going through, and I just absolutely love Chloe Leese's writing, and I loved this one. This is the last book. I gave it 5 stars, but it's definitely like not my favorite in the series, but it still was worthy of 5 stars. I still really, really loved Viggo and Tallulah. This one is a Viggo. For the last couple of books, he's been very secretive about what he's been doing, and he's always been a romance fan. He's a huge historical romance fan, and he has been there for the previous books of like playing like matchmaker and like getting his siblings with their partners, and I loved that, and so I was really excited for him to get his book, and he loves romance books and just wants a happily ever after for himself, and he ends up opening a romance bookstore, and the heroine in this one, Tallulah, is actually a thriller writer, and she is the sister of Ziggy, Viggo's sister's best friend. Did that make sense? Tallulah's sister is Ziggy's best friend, and Ziggy is Viggo's sister. So they know each other, basically. They know each other, and they actually had a class together in college before Viggo dropped out of college, and Viggo was very attracted to Tallulah, but she was kind of very closed off, and Tallulah has diabetes, so this is a diabetes rep, and I really loved their romance. It was so, so sweet. It's a lot of like forced proximity because Viggo offers Tallulah a space in he like lives in an apartment in the back of his bookstore, and there's like a second bedroom, so he offers Tallulah a space when she needs one, and I just thought it was so sweet. I really loved it. It gave me like all sorts of like comfortable vibes, so I gave it 5 stars. I'm gonna take this jacket off. I'm so warm. Okay, then The next one that I read was The Lone Wolf's Rejected Mate by Kate C. Wells. I've been in a huge paranormal mood this month, so there are a lot of paranormals that you're gonna see in this wrap up. So I ended up picking up this one. I loved the first book in the series, which is the Alpha's Rejected Mate. The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate. That was the first one. I loved that one. I gave it 5 stars. It was actually like on my like top 21 of 2021 or something, top 22 of 2022, something like that. It was such a good book. I absolutely loved that one. This one, I ended up giving 4 stars. This is actually book 3. I skipped book 2. It didn't have great ratings and I just wasn't interested in the couple. This is the couple that I was interested in from book 1. It is an age gap rejected mate trope. So all of these books in the series are the rejected mate trope. They're werewolf shifters. And in this one, there is this very like loner hero. He and the heroine, whose name I can't remember, recognize each other as mates when the heroine is really young. And he's like, nuh-uh, I'm too old for you. I'm too feral for you. And so he basically like, his wolf wants to be with her, but also his wolf is really damaged and kind of like violent. And so they have to like work through that. So it's goes forward through the years of her getting older, and then this book takes place when she's a little bit older and they like finally get together basically. I enjoyed it. It was probably more like 3.5. I literally wrote on my Goodreads review like 3.5 for the story but 4 for the vibes. It was exactly what I wanted, which is why I ended up giving it 4 stars. It was like perfect timing, but I think if I read it at any other time, it would probably be 3.5, but I rated it as 4 stars on Goodreads. Then I read The Mobsters Mate by Kiki Clark. Her audiobook came out for this one, and this one is a mafia, like mobster hero, and then the other hero is a injured jaguar shifter. So Quentin, the mobster human, he is mentioned in book 6 of the Kincaid Pack series. So I knew that he was like going to show up eventually. And he is a human person, but he has a lot of power, and he actually has a lot of like shifters who work for him, and he basically is like a mob boss. And he has very like alpha vibes, but he's a human. And he comes across this very injured jaguar shifter, and they help him out, and there's this like plot of somebody trying to kill Quentin. And they're trying to find out like who it was that hurt this jaguar shifter. And the jaguar shifter's name is Katey. And Katey and Quentin recognize each other as like there's a fated mate element. But Quentin is quite a bit older than Katey, and it was a good time. I had a really, really good time with it. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read 9 Month Contract by Amy Dawes. I got an ALC of this one, so an audio arc copy of this one, and I'm a huge Amy Dawes fan. I love her Harris Brothers series. This one I had a little bit of difficulty with. I ended up giving it 4 stars, but some of the language in this one was a little bit cringy for me. It's supposed to be funny, and I like know that like some people will find it so funny, but I found it slightly cringy. I was just like, this isn't like what I love. But I did really love the hero in this one. I loved the setting. It takes place on like a mountain, and there are like a lot of animals involved, and the heroine keeps bringing animals to the mountain even though the hero is like doesn't want them there, but the hero like so obviously loves them. He's such a softie for the animals, and it was super cute. It is a surrogate romance, so the hero wants to be a single dad. He's like, I don't want a wife, I don't want a partner, but I want a baby. And he hires the heroine to be his surrogate, and then she lives on his farm with him. Like she lives in the loft apartment above the barn, and they end up having a romance. And I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but there were some parts of it that I was like, ooh, I don't like that. And then I read Mafia Devil by Mila Finelli. This is book 4.5 in the Kings of Italy series. It's a novella, and it follows an couple that you meet in one of the books, the other romance in the series. I think it's book 4 in the series. And in book 4 in the series, the couple in that one hides out on a boat with another couple, and so this is the novella of that other couple that's on the boat, and it is an mafia romance, and it was fine. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Haunting Beauty, which is book 1 in the Make Games Death series. I loved the Make Games War. I loved that series. Such a good series. Honestly, if you are an audiobook person and you have not picked up the Make Games War series, you're missing out, because Kay Lorraine and Meg Ann kill it with the audiobooks. And so this is book 1 in the Make Games Death series. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. The audiobook was fantastic, as I knew it was. This is a paranormal reverse harem series, or it will be a reverse harem series. Book 1 is the intro into everything, so you meet all the characters. It's the start of them falling for each other. There are 5 heroes, I believe, and it takes place in a paranormal rehab facility in Scotland. So it's basically for people who are struggling, not with like alcohol or drugs or anything, but like people who need a place to go to like get their shit together. That's where it takes place. And there's a dragon shifter, there's a Nova's Guardian warrior, there's a guy who thinks he's Captain Hook, it's all sorts of fun times, and I had a great time with it. I really liked book 1. I'm really excited to read the rest of the series. Then I read Gardens and Ghosts by Mads Maddox. This is book 5 in the Relic series. And if you weren't here last year, I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, when I read the Relic series, you're missing out, because these are gay dinosaurs. Like, who was gonna tell me that I would love gay dinosaurs this much? So these books feature dinosaur shifters, and basically what this series is this group of people that are called Relic, and they have this organization to protect the history of dinosaurs and share it with the public in like museums and with scientists. And so they rescue dinosaur fossils and bones that are from private collections and gives them to museums, basically. And the people who run Relic are all dinosaur shifters, and they are unearthed during excavations, like archaeological excavations. They can be awakened, and this book 5 in the series, this series should definitely be read in order, but book 5 in the series features Montana, who is kind of like the leader of Relic, and he's actually a widower. He was mated and his husband passed away, and I think he was killed. And the other hero in this one's name is Henry, and he is the most newly awakened shifter, and it's so cute. I love Henry. Like, he was so freaking adorable, and this series just made me smile so much. This book, it was just smiley, so fun. I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend this series if you haven't read it. Then I read Putting Out for a Hero by C. Rochelle. This one is superhero and supervillain romance. It's book 3 in her Villainous Things series. The first book in the series was Not All Himbos Wear Capes, and I absolutely loved book 1, and then I really liked book 2. I read it last month or the month before, and this one is book 3. The audiobook just came out, and this one is about Balthazar and the other hero, whose name is Zion. So Balthazar and Zion were rivals for this sports, they played against each other on this like Soups sports team, or like sports game, and Balthazar has recently been engaged to marry Zion's sister in an arranged engagement. But Balthazar starts having feelings for Zion. He didn't know that he was bisexual, so it's a bisexual awakening, and Zion has always known that he's gay. He's always known that he's bisexual, and he is actually a single father, and his superpower is that he turns into a giant lizard, basically. He's like Godzilla. And you get more about like the history of the soups, and it's getting so weird and so out there, but it's such a fun time. Such a fun time. So if you like want just like a fun MM series, definitely read Villainous Things by C. Rochelle, because I have a fabulous time reading it. Then we have my DNF, which was Find the Djinn by Maz Maddox. This one is one that I've been trying to read for months. I actually think I started it last year when it came out. Yeah, it came out in October of last year, and I got it early, like the ARC early, from Libro FM, from their influencer program, and I started it like in November, and I finally DNF'd it because I just like cannot. I tried so hard and I cannot connect to it. I don't really understand what's going on. Like, it's confusing. I'm not focusing enough on it because I don't care about it enough. So I finally was just like, I'm just gonna mark it as DNF. I'm done with trying this. Then I read Midnight of Ashes by Tessa Hale. This is book 2 in her Dragons of Ember Hollow series. I was given an ALC of this one, and I'm so happy about that. I love this series so much. I'm so excited for people to read book 2 of the series. It comes out on April 19th. I don't know when this video is going up, but this book comes out April 19th. You should definitely pick it up if you haven't already, or if you should read book 1, because the series is so freaking good. It is paranormal, reverse harem dragon shifters, and I can't say a whole lot about this second book because it picks up exactly where the cliffhanger of book 1 let off, and then it ends on a cliffhanger again. Tessa Hale's books always end on cliffhangers, or like book 1 and book 2 always end on cliffhangers, and like she kills it with the cliffhangers. They're so like, I need the next book now, and then the next book's not out, and I'm like, ah. But I loved this book. It was really good. I think I like book 1 better, but I tend to like, book 2s tend to be hard for me. I tend to like book 1s better. But I'm so freaking excited for book 3, and the way that the relationships are going. We get a little bit more of like development with the relationship in this one. The way that the plot's going took like an entirely different direction than I was expecting, and I'm like really intrigued by this whole like mystery element that's going on, and I'm like, I really enjoyed it. Would definitely recommend it. Then I read The Alpha of Bleak Isle by Catherine Moon. This one I picked up because I'm going to Polygon at the end of the month, and Catherine Moon added to her pre-order form for a very short time the special edition of this book, and I freaking love the cover. But if you know me, you know that I do not buy books if I haven't read them. So the pre-order form for the special edition closed on like Saturday, and so I started this book on Tuesday, and it's a long book. It's like 400 pages and there's no audiobook. So I was determined, and I'm so glad that I did, because I really enjoyed this book, and I ended up pre-ordering the special edition, and I'm so excited to have it because the cover is freaking stunning. I'll do a book haul in beginning of May after I get back from Polygon, because I have like a giant stack of books over here to haul also, because I haven't done a haul in a really long time. But I freaking loved this book. It's also dragon shifters. I was just really into the dragon shifters this month, and this one I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. There are parts of it that are a little bit confusing and could use a little bit more development, but it is book 1, and there will be like more books in the series, so I'm assuming we're gonna get like even more development of like the history of the dragon kind, and more about the like Isle as we go forward. But I freaking loved the relationship in this one, and that is what I'm giving 4.5 stars. This one is about the alpha who, so basically in this world, it's an Omegaverse. So there's alphas, there's betas, there's omegas. The women are omegas, and then the men are either alphas or betas. And every 10 years, so dragons like live longer, and every 10 years there is a like choosing ceremony where the and the betas can choose an omega, basically, to spend the rut with. And that's like when they can get them pregnant kind of thing. And the problem is that a lot of times women die in childbirth. So if you have triggers for like birth or like dying in childbirth or like anything along that has to go with that, or like difficult births, don't read this book because it talks about it a lot. There's no like on page like somebody going through it, but they do bring it up a lot, how difficult it is to give birth and how many people die in childbirth. And so the alpha has not ever chosen an omega. He's like never participated in the choosing ceremony, and this year he's like, I'm gonna choose one. And he's all set to choose this like super popular omega who's like the most pretty or whatever, and she's like the best. And so he's all set to choose her when he uncovers this plot against his life, and he like ditches her and ends up choosing the like loner wallflower girl who's like not popular at all and who's a little bit older. And it has like a historical element to it, like a historical romance type element to it, because it does deal a lot with like popularity of society and everything, and like wallflowers and like who's more popular, and like women having to like learn the piano to be considered like better, that kind of thing. And so he ends up choosing Marwyn, who is this like plus-sized loner wallflower, not popular, on the shelf omega, and they fall so hard for each other. It's so good. I freaking loved the way the hero falls for Marwyn. It's so cute. There's so much spice in this book, and it was just so fantastic. I ended up really, really loving it. Then the last book that I read so far this month was another Kiki Clark book and another novella, and that is A New Pack for New Year. The audiobook for this one came out, and it was like a 3-hour audiobook, and I had never read this novella before. It's the prequel to the Kincaid Pack series, and it was super cute. I gave it 4 stars. It was cool as somebody who's already read the Kincaid Pack series to listen to this one and like go back and see like what the pack was like before the events of Alpha and his King, and when everything changes with Rick. But it was really cute. There was like a little romance in it with a age gap and some damaged hero, and it was really cute. I had a great time with it. 4 stars. But that's the last book that I read so far in April. I will have a end of month wrap up after probably the beginning of May, and I'm hoping to have at least a couple of more videos this month also. I will try and pre-film some things before I go to a Polycon, because I will not be filming while I'm at a Polycon. But that is going to be it for this video. Please let me know what your favorite book so far in April has been, and like this video if you liked it, subscribe, stick around, see more content from me, and leave me a dragon emoji in the comments because I read a shit ton of Dragon Shifter books this month. But that's it, so have a great day, bye!